and he was in Wake Up with Hilo.
Yeah.
So Li Pina Ya Koko, which has become one of my most popular songs, was a song that I wrote Kilimo Studio Le BK Proctor, because Proctor used to work, on the music after Mike Proctor stopped Ghetto Flavor. He then gave the equipment to BK.
I know this, okay? I worked in a studio.
Yeah.
I remember when he started producing.
So hara Pina ya Koko at the time. No one Pina ya Joe Thomas, which he's one of my favorite R&B artists.
Yeah.
It's called Knock Knock Knock. You know that song?
Knock Knock
Yeah.
Knock.
So I was trying to write a Setswana song.
Yeah, but yours was talking about deaths.
How we got there.
Eh.
Pina. And then
don't tell me there was a knock on the door.
There was a knock on the door. There was a knock on the door, and V Mambisi walks in. V comes in with some long story about whatever else is going on in V's life, right? To come and see BK. So he stops the session in the middle, and we are trying to find a direction to go Gabi. Havi as na wazama. Kerabi ki magazenya bin. Argo kar kima.
Welcome to Moving Humanity Forward podcast. My name is Kathy Malajani. I am very, very excited today to send a huge shout out to my clothing sponsor. Funky Rezi is currently also dressing Miss Botswana 2024-25 Anisha. So, hey, thank you. By the way, if you think I look good today, I need you to know it's because of her, okay? So that said, my name is Kathy Malajani. I like to tell people that I'm the village girl from Ramozwa, also the village chick with plenty chic. But you know what? On this podcast, you can call me #CuriousKath because I always have so very many questions. And today's guest wears so many hats. I believe my questions perhaps will get answered. Let me just go through some of the different hats that this particular guest wears, okay? He's a musician, he's a comedian, he's a voiceover artist. He's the last stint that he did on radio, he was doing the Yarna FM morning show. I think you're getting a hint of who I have. He's former Miss Botswana general manager. He's a creative director. I think this one he's still very active in. He's also in my line of work, the hustle of master of ceremonies, and also, I think I mentioned musician as well. He goes by the name Bad Boy, right? Mr. Brando is who I have with me today. Brando Gebadile. Brando, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to Moving Humanity Forward.
You are welcome, Curious Kathy.
Yes.
All right, yes. I like that. But you know what killed the cat again?
The first letters of my name are what?
Cat.
What can
but curiosity finished the cat.
That's why it's Curious Kath and not Cat, because Kathy has the skills to survive.
I see.
Even as she asks the questions.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
We're excited to have you, and I know there's going to be so much we want to get through to.
Yes.
Let's start with Bad Boy. Were you a bad boy?
No, actually. Bad Boy stems from breakdancing.
Okay.
It, there's this, where people are sort of like, you're so bad. Like, it's bad
good.
In a
you're
good
so
way.
good, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Bad Boy was just a b-boy breakdancer back in the day. So it just worked as Bad Boy Brando.
Okay.
Because I was just good.
So you didn't break lots of hearts, because you know what they say about celebrities and musicians. You leave a trail of broken hearts.
I grew up in Orapa, and I was raised predominantly by my sister. Mm-hmm. Daisy Watusi is actually my sister. Mm-hmm. And because I grew up around women, I was very sort of a ladies' man. I had a very soft spot for women. I was very gentle. Mm-hmm. And as a young guy, I would walk around. I would always have chocolate on me.
So where's the chocolate? I'm a chocoholic.
Well, I didn't bring it now. Now we're having coffee. There's cocoa in there. So that's how the whole Mr. Chocolate thing came about.
Oh.
Because I grew up as the guy who always had chocolate.
You were literally Mr. Chocolate.
Yeah.
And speaking of, you were part of a group called Ghetto Flavor.
Yes.
Mr. Chocolate. I remember when that song debuted.
That's where that came from.
How did that get to happen? When did that come about?
Look, that came about in the, back in the 2000s when we were just young urban group, kids living in Orapa. And we were fortunate enough to meet a Mike Proctor,
Okay.
who came from Francistown, quantity surveyor in the mine, and he was a DJ, but he had always sort of wanted to dabble into music. So Mike put us together, and after school we would just go for rehearsals, and we would, learn how to rap and do rehearsals and all of that. So he kept us busy, and the group was formed. We made music. He learned how to produce, and we recorded. So it was a learning experience for everyone.
Wow.
And Mike had a lot of records. He had not only LP, so we'd always listen to the music. And he would play instrumentals for us. We would rap over the instrumentals, Kenalebo QBO, AK Cube, Limis the Tag, all the guys that were part of the group. So growing up with all of that, I think it then sort of planted the seed,
Yeah.
to what would be Brando today, or anybody else that, was part of that movement.
I'm interested in the timeline, right?
Yeah.
So we were just chatting, and you said to me, when I finished Form 5,
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want to, I knew this was what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
right? So maybe just take me through what came first at which point. Because you wear so many hats, like radio, comedian,
I do.
musician, creative director. How did you get involved with Miss Botswana?
Ooh. Look, everything stemmed from the music. Growing up, I always sort of had a desire to perform. I think being a last born in my family, I'm the last born of 6.
Okay.
I've got 2 brothers and 3 sisters, and it means that I absorbed a lot. My parents were korapa. My dad was a miner, and my mom worked at the mess,
Okay.
catering. So, and then kolapeng, it was like a shabin. So there was always music.
Yeah.
So we would always listen to music, and there were so many characters that
Yeah.
came to the house. So the village was at my house. That was the well
Yeah.
where everything came from.
Yeah.
So I absorbed a lot growing up, and I think that's where my many talents, when I look back, literally stemmed from.
Wow.
Right? It all started from there. So when I finished school, my parents asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "No, I just want to do music."
Wow.
And they said to me, "Don't ever ask us for money." Go.
Because in Botswana, the music industry, I don't know if it now is, but it was not necessarily something counted as sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was non-existent.
Yeah.
Right. So we were literally the first, bunch to try out urban music. And we were taking from the likes of Tribal Monks
Yes.
at the time.
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar. Skizo were doing a lot of work. There was work which was done with Solo B. We worked with them back in the day.
Yeah.
So we were essentially the pioneers during that era.
Yeah.
So it was trial and error. But I'm glad we did it, because, had we not taken that route, I think I would have just never come to fruition. I can't imagine my life without having done that, because the music then led me to radio.
Yeah.
Right? Which is what Mike Proctor had always instilled in me. He had said to us, "Look, there's no money to be made, but we must just keep doing this, because
Yeah.
it's going to open doors for you."
Wow.
So Mike had the vision to sort of say, place yourself, put yourself in a position where things will come and find you.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a position where you are, you radiate, when you're in a room, where people listen to you, and just give yourself the opportunity to own the platform. So that was the guys. That was the driving force. So we did it. And even when we were touring with other groups, because remember during that day, those Black Label, the Blue
Yes.
Crystal Sugar
Yes.
shows back in the day.
Yes.
So we would tour Lebo Bongo Mafene, Bo Boom Shaka, Bo
Trompisi.
Trompisi, all those big South African names. And we were always treated like the show openers, the
Yes,
guys that
the
would always
curtain
start
raisers.
the curtain raisers. But we would rock, right? We would come in and rock. We were these kids that was just like, yo, what is that?
Yeah.
And then you would get off the stage, and Tebe would come to you and say, "Hey, Dwana, who are you?" So for us, it was always being validated by the big stars. Like where Speedy comes to you backstage, he's like, "Yo, kid, I see you. I hear you. You're not there yet, but you're coming.
Yeah.
Keep working at it."
Yeah.
Right? So that's what really, I think, gave us the drive, and it just sort of gave us the thumbs up. Yeah. And we just went with it.
I love that. So
Yeah.
we were speaking about this, and you said it's about plus minus 30 years now
Yeah.
that you've been in the industry. And I think it's so interesting when you talk timelines. I'm just trying to pair my life with yours and think I worked in a music studio with Bonebo Solo B. So
Yes.
then you went to radio, which kind of similar to what I did. But
Yeah.
take me through your stints on radio. And of course, I'm going to want to know about Stupid 1 and Stupid 2 and what happened to Stupid 1 and Stupid 2.
And how we got there.
Yeah, so take me
Look,
through. Then you get on radio.
Yeah, I got on radio because then Mike Proctor, at the time when Yarona FM was being formed, he was part of the consortium that was, trying to decide who gets a share where.
Okay.
Right. So I was always sort of there when Mike was doing stuff. So when we got to Yarona FM, they were literally tearing down some house in African Mall where the radio station was going to be.
I recall.
So I'm sitting there and I'm just seeing these guys, Baduba Daka, they're busy. Mike is inside with the guys and deals are being done. Lebo, the late Re Olsen and, everyone else who was part of that deal. Because now I was just a youngster.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. So I get my hands dirty. I start, I learn. The guys are partitioning the studios. I'm there. The equipment is being set up. I'm there. They're wiring, they're connecting the mixers. I'm there. I'm watching. So that's just where I think then the production aspect of wanting to know what goes on with the radio then started. Because remember, there's no schools that will teach you how to do it at the time. There was, I don't even think we had like social media at the time. There was none of that.
No.
It was way back when.
Yeah.
And by just doing that and being there, then you are sort of the people that are considered, because I don't know that to the radio station. How do a music, the guys show you, the South African consultants who contractors who come, bana all the time. Okay, this is the software, this is how you load the music, this is how you label, do it. Okay. You're a young kid. You're willing to do it.
You're eager, you're hungry.
Yeah, in essence, it's almost like you're the intern, but you don't even know you're the intern.
Yep.
So just being there and placing yourself there for me was one of the things that helped get me to where I was. And I always tell the story where Nakwaya, even when the guys were putting up the antenna, because the antenna for Yarona FM is actually on the top of Grand Palm. I literally went up there with them, these South African guys. So it was like, Brando, let's go, come. Let me go show you how we do this, eh? All right, this boy is a very lucky boy, this one. Yeah, Brando, you connect this one here and you put this one there. So this is me learning, right? So I then get to really see it hands-on. And obviously at the end of it all, there's no certificate, but you know how to do it. I can MacGyver at this point in time. I can connect, I can rig, and I know, okay, so this one feeds that, and this one feeds that, and this one sends the signal. We are good. So that's how I learned a lot of what I know.
Yeah.
By just being there, observing, and literally getting my hands dirty. Because I can partition, I can soundproof. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the amount of stuff that you're going to learn by just connecting, knowing where the cables go, the auxiliary, the softwares, the the antenna, that's the work that you need to know.
Yeah.
And no one can take that away from you. So sometimes don't even wait to go to school. If you're interested in something, get your hands dirty.
Go see what you can do.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah. You've kind of, done something that I did want you to do.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the impersonations. No, I can just switch anytime.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I want to take us through, and I am going to ask you to do, I've got a couple of characters we like.
Yeah.
But let's start with radio, right? What was your first stint on radio? Take me through the journey, and then let's talk about Stupid 1 and Stupid 2. That was the last time you were on radio, right?
Yeah, my first stint on radio was with Yarona FM. Like the first time we went on air, I think Loose Boy was there at the time. Rapesi Raditladi, who was the first station manager, was there. And when, after that period of just playing music on the radio, it's like, okay, gentlemen, we now have to talk on the radio. And I remember at the time, I think it was me and Loose Boy in the studio and Pesi. I can't remember who else was there. And they just switched on the microphone. And we had to say something. The fear that was running through one's body, because it's almost like now you go blank and you're sweating, and it's like, no, but it's just talking. Just talk.
Like how you normally talk.
Yeah, so we did that. I think Blues Boy and myself were the first presenters to talk on Yarona at the time.
Wow.
So we were just thrown in the deep end, right? And within that first launch period, Dumi, who I think knew Robin Chivazo at the time, brought him in, and he was a fresh guy coming in from Cape Town. So when
Yeah.
Robin arrived at Yarona FM, he found me there. So I was the first guy to meet Robin
Okay.
at Yarona with his Shaquille O'Neal, basketball,
Yeah.
jersey and his big rhino boots. And I just thought, wow, what a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
So funny enough, Robin then comes in and he is super sports guy. He's well vested with everything. He knows his music. He's got a bit of history.
He's an all-rounder.
He was an all-rounder. So, you've got, and immediately right there and then, I just like, this guy's really cool.
Yeah.
So I think my first impression of Robster then impacted our relationship moving forward. Because then he was like this older brother that I always looked up to.
Okay.
And was just in awe of just how he was so in control. I think he had done university radio.
Yes.
So he was bringing in that sense of control on air, the confidence.
Yeah.
But mind you, radio, we had always listened to radio from RB2 and RB1. So growing up, the late Makankara, the late Tizoski. These are people who influence without you necessarily knowing.
Yes.
It's only once you're older and you realize these people had so much influence on me. The Gloria Horses, the Shakes the Mix.
If you like,
Spike was another one with his English, and he was so diligent, and his
Sunday
love
ballad
of music and his and where his personality came through the music. So this is me now in retrospect, looking back, you had no idea all this time. Because when I now do comedy, and one of the things that I did well on the breakfast show at Yarona FM was a parody of the Khanza RB1. And then it dawns on you, but even when my parents were listening to the news, I was actually absorbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all comes to fruition when you realize, talent has a lot to do with your exposure. It has a lot to do with the people that input little things. You might not be aware of it, but if it has an impression on you, it's going to stick with you. It goes to, I hope I'm not losing my train of thought and your questioning.
I'll bring you back to it.
Yeah, but it goes to even the accents and the impersonations. If I listen to, for instance, the president, Rekhama, I will pick up diction, I will watch his body language, and I will internalize it. And I know how to impersonate him because I'm impressed.
Okay.
You see, to a certain degree, I have to admire you to be able to impersonate. I have to admire you as Robert Mugabe to be able to impersonate, because it means I have to listen to you and I have to watch and observe. If you're Mike Tyson, I'm a big Mike Tyson fan.
Okay.
So I watch Mike. I know everything about Mike. I know that when he does this, when his voice dips, this is what Mike is going to do. He's going to twitch his head. He's going to do that, right? So it's about having people have an impact. It's all about having an impact.
Yeah.
So that the people that you interact with through life have an impact on you, and they create you.
So you get on radio and you realize you have an impact, or you realize the people that you've been listening to have had an impact?
You realize that the people that you've had an interaction with have had an impact on you.
So what impact do you think you've had on your listeners throughout the years?
Okay. It's all come at a very late stage for me, right? Like only recently, especially with like the Big Breakfast Show and the Feel Good Foundation, the big shows that we had big success with on the radio, did I ever fully realize the extent of just how profound what we do is to people's lives, right? There were people who would drive home with their kids.
Yep.
But we sort of our journeys to school in the morning, are nothing but close to just amazing, because you guys have made it really special for us. So when you are part of people's lives like that, it's something completely special.
It is.
So it holds a very dear place in your heart. So in terms of impacting people's lives, I've learned how to look. There's a certain responsibility that comes with it, but also you have to sometimes just pat yourself in the back and say, you know what? I never knew that this is where it's going to end up, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that I can be this person.
I want to know your journey,
Yeah.
okay? I think we'll close with this and get you to give us an impersonation. I want to know in terms of, you started on Yarona.
Yeah.
What show were you doing there? When did you move to Gabs FM? When did you go back to Yarona? And then, of course, we want to know what happened. Confess.
About
Who did you
what?
piss off?
Where?
Why did you get fired?
I never got fired.
We don't know. We don't
when?
know. It looked like you got fired. But take me through the journey.
Geez, I can't remember the shows that I did back then, but obviously I have a good memory of the ones that the last shows that I did, because I've been at it for so long. But what I can speak to is that one of the shows that I really enjoyed was the Feel Good Foundation.
Okay.
With Robbie. That combination on air was top notch. That was top tier radio. And he was, we decided that we were actually going to do that. And I said to him, okay, you'll drive and I'll be co-pilot.
Okay.
Right? Because I wanted to sit in a position where I have the freedom to just be the guy who comes in right in the middle of his conversation, and then I do my thing. Right? So the position that I was playing was perfect.
Okay.
And that's why it worked. So a lot of people thought we were going to come on air and then heckle each other about who is
The driver.
yeah, and then it's going to be like, no, we were very clear, and I was very clear that the Robster's driving and I'm co-pilot, and I was happy with being co-pilot, right? The Big Breakfast Show that I did with my sister on, Yarona, it was also amazing because Bo Hardy was just cool people. It became a brother and sister sort of relationship on air, a very special one. And Lena, she's a very strong woman. She's strong. She's very pro, female empowerment, and she's a very stern person in what she believes in. And one thing I loved about her is that she taught me principle, in a way that not to say that I didn't have principles before, but I had an appreciation of the type of principles that she holds, right? So it was nice to also work with a woman and share that space with her, because sometimes as men we're so masculinated in our opinion, if there's such a word, in our opinion and in our sort of output of how we see the world. So sometimes working with a woman then makes you see the world through her eyes, right? Which we tend to sometimes not do.
I want to get this timeline because it's Yarna FM, Gabs FM, Yarna, I don't know.
Yeah, there
but
was
I'm going to
that.
get you to do that. But I'd like you to just give us a snippet.
Of?
Muruti Madimabi.
Oh, I can't do that.
I liked Muruti Madimabi.
I can't do that. Muruti Marimabe needs he's a musical. Geez, you've thrown such a curveball.
Yeah, I liked him.
Because I've got so many characters
in your head. Okay,
that
so who's top of your head right now?
That I can literally forget some of them. Look, I mean, there's Magagula, there's Honorable Kinolagape, there is you name it.
Okay, let's talk Magagula quickly.
What do you
Who
want?
is he?
What Magagula is, he's a law enforcement officer.
Yes.
Who is not afraid to say it like it is.
Okay.
He is all about the truth. And his truth is, in most cases, hilarious but brutally true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the music industry right now, or the entertainment or media industry right now, what would he say? What would Magugula say right now? About the industry? I'll let you think about it. Let me do that and let you know that this is MHF Podcast. That's how you find us on Facebook, otherwise on LinkedIn, on YouTube, as well as on TikTok. It is Moving Humanity Forward Podcast. Do not go anywhere. We're right back.
We live in an ever-changing world, a world where we have disruptions in technology, introductions of things such as artificial intelligence, and we can't help but ignore the need for all of us to level up. Leveling up for your own personal development, for you to thrive in your personal life, and also for organizations to continue growing and become the best versions of themselves. In the pursuit of leveling up, we often leave behind the soft skills and focus on the technical that allow us to do our daily duties. The soft skills help us connect with other individuals at a heightened level and also to be able to know how we relate with each other to produce optimum results. ProLearn comes in as a partner that centers around leadership development courses, technological courses, financial literacy courses, and also mental wellness and being.
Welcome back. This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast. My name is Kathy Malajani, but we said the hat I'm wearing today is Curious Kath because the questions just keep on flowing. I want to get you to take me through, let's call it just your progression on radio.
Yeah.
And I've also put in a request for Remagagula to speak to us, especially in the media and or entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Or music, even just any. Take us through what he would say, and then take us through your journey just on radio. I just want to understand which radio station you went to, what you were doing, and sort of the growth and progression that you had as you went along.
Yeah. Look, I dabbled between Yarona and Gabs FM.
Okay.
I think I then wanted to give myself an opportunity to try and appeal to a different audience because Gabs FM had adult contemporary, and the music means that you now get to learn about where the music on Yarona comes from.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. And working with Gabs FM meant that I'm also exposed to a different style of management.
Of course.
And I'm exposed to different presenters, and we share different ideas, and then a different sort of work ethic. Because you see, with these radio stations, there's Yarona FM, which is sort of like a sister company to YFM.
Yes.
In South Africa. And then I think Gabs FM had a Kaya FM sort of relationship that they had, one of those, right?
Yeah.
So that also in itself sort of exposes you to their consultants. So that's why I think I kept dabbling between the two radio stations,
Okay.
right? So I would do Yarona, and then I would go to Gabs, and then I would go back to Yarona, and then Gabs FM, and then from Gabs FM, I went to South Sudan.
Okay, take me through South Sudan. How did that go? What was that like?
That was brilliant. That was an unexpected, thing that happened. But it also culminated from, just working with the consultants on the radio station. Because when they then get, the job was offered to them first. And then when they couldn't go, they said
they recommended you.
Yeah, there's some crazy guy called Zoana. Maybe if you try him, he will go. And I went, right? And when I got to South Sudan, it was just amazing. Because I'd always thought DJ Fresh, right? I'd always looked at DJ Fresh and the success that he was having in South Africa, and I was like, man, that would be so wonderful. The things I could do if I could get in.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that God had a different plan for me, right? So my success then comes through humanitarian radio.
Yeah.
Which I think in one way or another, you manifest these things, because I'd always see these countries where people are suffering, and I was like, man, I wish I could do something. So it had always been something that stuck with me. And then when the job came, I find myself part of this project financed by, Foundation Hirondelle and their funders and the UN. So they're setting up a Radio Meraya in South Sudan, and I get to be part of that project. And the difference with that style of radio is that because it's a war-torn country and they were going into their comprehensive peace agreement at the time, there is conflicts. Right, and there's landmines, there is rebels, there is political instability, there's essentially looming civil war. There's the North and the South, and they're fighting. And you're right in the middle of that. So your information dissemination is so crucial to the livelihood of the conflict to accurate information. So you get to understand that, okay, we're not selling Red Bull and Louis Vuitton here. This is malaria, typhoid, the rebels are coming, landmines. So it becomes radio at a different level. Because even if you do the radio dramas now, it's different topics, it's different context and information that you're putting out. So I was right in the middle of that. And for me, it was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. And in terms of my love for radio, I'm glad that that's how it panned out.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm not, I don't enjoy selling alcohol to people and all of these other things that really take away from their health and all of that other stuff.
Yeah.
The greasy food.
Yeah.
I do it well, but I learned that you can do more with this media.
Yeah.
You can literally do more. So South Sudan was amazing. It was brilliant.
How long were you there for? What were some of the highlights for you?
I was there 4 years because I think it was 2006, 7, 8, 9. And then I think I came back the year World Cup.
Why did you come back? Why didn't you stay there? Why didn't you go to other countries?
Marriage. I had to come back because at the time, remember, I got married within, you didn't know. I got married during that period, and then there was just pressure.
You came back for love.
I came back to try and salvage.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's a story for another day. We'll get to the divorce diaries on another episode, but because that one needs a whole entire show on its own.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, during that period, it was quite a fulfilling part of my life. One of the best things I've ever done with my life. It was rewarding in terms of job satisfaction, in terms of monetary. It was brilliant. I was able to start a family, take care of the kids. I was, in a way that I had always wanted to, but then it happened. And when it's happening, and can I just say this?
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, when that whole thing transpired, I felt God.
Wow.
Working in my life. Like I had never seen God work. Where you like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I'm here. It's happening. I've got a wife. I've got a baby on the way. I've got a good job. I'm here.
Wow.
My dream.
I made it. Mama, I made it.
Mama, I made it. But you see, you make it also, and then you realize that I'm in a war-torn country and I could die at any moment.
Yeah.
The planes were falling out of the sky because but every day we're flying.
Yeah.
And you're safe. There's sandstorms where you sometimes have to circulate for like an hour just so that the pilot can see the ground. So we were in that kind of environment. And God, I believe, genuinely took care of me throughout all that time. So it was handed to me. It was literally handed to me. Because I didn't even apply for the job. I just got a phone call.
Wow.
You see, where somebody somewhere says, no, but call that guy because he'll rock for you.
Let's pass through this real quick because you just mentioned God. I wonder, in terms of the career, the many, many hats that you wear, how important is faith throughout all of this? Because I think a lot of the time having the fame kind of almost negates the faith for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We talked earlier and you were saying something along the lines of, I didn't want, to go outside of Botswana because I see there and there that at the end of the day, you kind of have to sell your soul in order to make it.
Yeah.
So how important has your faith been, is your faith, even currently, as far as the industry and the many hats that you wear?
I think I've gravitated the entertainment industry and always sort of never let go of my character. I realized that music and this art form will put you in spaces where there's somebody throwing drugs in front of you. There's somebody throwing a lifestyle.
We're seeing the Diddy trials right now.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, where people are putting you in a situation where you have to compromise your integrity, you have to sell your soul. So if you come from a background that has a very strong, you're in there with a very strong backbone, you're able to say to people, no, I don't need to do that. I'm talented, so why would I do that, right? So you put your character in there, and then you trust the talent that God has put in you, or you do not need to sell your soul to get success out of this thing.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate because I've always had that mindset that it's a God-given talent. No man can tell you to, compromise yourself.
So you never had to baby oil at any point?
No.
We're never going to see any
I have
videos
never had
leaked
to,
of
no,
you
I have never had to do
getting
that.
close with
The funny thing
anybody.
is, I had a chance to go to America. I did Chicago, I did Detroit, and I did Atlanta.
Wearing which hat? Music, comedy?
Music. I went down to see George Proctor, who's like Maloma Rubike Proctor and Mike Proctor's younger brother.
Okay.
I went down and we were going to record an album. I was actually with Mike. We were going to record an album stateside. We get there and I go to the McDonald's and I see R. Kelly's pictures everywhere. I see all of my favorites, Joe Thomas. I see Donald Jones. Donald Jones was here. They're like, yeah, no, he comes here. We took a picture with him. So I was hoping to meet one of these guys. When I was there, I was like, guys, where does R. Kelly live? Because I just want to go.
I want to meet R. Kelly on the street.
Yeah, I'm trying to go and say hi, Kels. Can we
do something?
No, and you get to America and then you realize, Jorge, it's not as easy as you might think. It's not like you working up to Solo B or Schizo's house. It's tough.
Yeah,
right?
You don't have access that easy.
But I'm glad that I never got exposed to that. I literally am glad, because we always hope for the big break. But now in retrospect, when you realize how much people have had to give up and what the price they've had to pay for fame, I'm cool. I'm cool with being Botswana's Coco superstar. The guy who is singing a song for Mama and it touches Dipelo Zaba Tumohai. I'm happy. I'm happy that I can be this guy to my people, to my country.
So you're happy that you're in Botswana and you're broke and you're not making the millions and thousands of hundreds that other people who would have or could have, should have migrated are making?
Look, I mean, Kath, nobody would ever be happy with obviously the financial situations. And if you've got a God-given talent, everybody wants to be fed by that talent because that's what God has put in you, right? The sad story of our country is that we, as the diamonds of the country, are sometimes in rags, right? We're surrounded by so many riches. We got diamonds on the soles of our shoes. But you and I think, have experienced where we really haven't lived the dream.
Yeah.
It's always been bits and pieces here and there. So the mindset of our people has always kept us in a place where oras canta. So you must just sing, dance, and do it for free.
Yeah.
Right? So you then learn, and I think some of us have had to pay the price to teach the Hansis of the world that you as ATI and so, don't compromise yourself.
Yeah. Don't
right?
accept the peanuts.
Don't. As Impossibina, give them an invoice and then look the other way. Right? Do not tell them you are what they say you are. You're worth how much they want to dictate, because we spend so much time being told you're worth this much.
Yeah.
And then you take it because at the time you're still building the industry. So I'm not happy with that aspect. What I'm happy with is the fact that I've never had to just, turn myself into this thing where I'm a druggie, I am a thing. Who's this guy? I've kept it together. I have really kept it together. I have not lost myself.
You didn't sell your soul. You didn't have to do any unethical
because God
things.
has given me a talent. I can sing. I can make people laugh. I can dance. I can hold an event. I can do voices. I can do a kiddie spot. I can do it.
Wow.
Right? Because I then also come from this mindset of you can literally be anything you want to be.
I love that.
Like, if there is ever a guy who believes in being anything you want to be, that's me.
I love that. So let's get Re Magagula to speak.
Ranya hona ki ba maruri raisu. Na gilisbek da kosta buli Magagula. Ngali bule la uri na li mathata raisu. Huna li batho ba le uri ha o ka ila thuko ha o lebelela mo social media. Kuna le batho ba rata go etsa dinepe ba le mapuna-puna. Bagaetso ke batla go le bolela gore gulomo ke molato. Ha la tshwanela go etsa dinepe le dira intercourse. Go tswa ga ito e enda bile mo social media e be le re-involve mo dilo tsa lona. So ke batla go tlhalosetsa bana ela gore nyaope le di-drugs le go etsa dinepe le mapuna-puna le ska senda di-moose. Yeah, so that's essentially Magagula. But you know why I do characters?
Tell me.
I've realized what my America and other people have sold us so much of their culture. Superman, Batman, kore, any fictional character that you can ever think of has been implanted in your mind to sell a story, a country, an ideology, to sell you a set of values. So that's why I've gone into this realm of creating characters. I did this thing during the COVID pandemic where it became extremely popular. The character Honorable Kinolagape. I was not supposed to release that character. But
How
because
do
I
you
thought
come up with the character, by the way?
because I thought the world was coming to an end. Like we all did. I then said, okay, hey, B, already character A1 at least.
Yeah.
So Honorable Kinolagape was a character and is a character that basically was the minister of alcohol at first, and he became the minister of everything. He was a character that said to people, like where people couldn't access alcohol. So he was trying to deal with the aspect of just coping. It was a coping mechanism for people who have now sort of made alcohol such a prominent part of their life, which I hate.
Yeah.
How we glamorize this thing that sometimes can be, very
Fatal,
detrimental
yeah.
to people's lives. It's a gateway drug, and let's have that conversation. So Honorable Kinolagape was this minister who was always drunk, but still ministering. And because he's also drunk, he's now able to speak truth. So he is designed to be the guy who is a reflection of our society from an alcohol perspective, right? Because the minister will be, he'll be like, I'm just trying to get into my drunk mode. I can't do it without the face. I need to see his face.
Wait, confess, did you come up with this after you had a couple of adult beverages
I was not drinking.
at that time?
There was no alcohol. It was like grape juice.
Yeah. So you were
in the
very
glass.
sober.
I was
coming
very
up
sober.
with
I was very, very sober.
okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of coming up with these characters, you put thought into it, or does it just like you get the impersonation, then you add the character to it? Like, is there a method to the madness, or it just like a microphone?
There's a young method to the madness because I've had to hone it. I've had to actually make it a thing where I can tap into it all the time.
Yeah.
There is where I can do the voice, and then there is now the introduction of filters, and which are just brilliant. And I'm now learning AI, so
Okay.
I'll eventually get to AI, but I'm still dabbling with filters.
So animation at some point coming from you?
That is exactly where I spend a lot of my time animating and learning the new stuff, because
Okay.
I've also learned how to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just box yourself.
same person,
Yeah,
yeah.
I might be like in my 40s, but I'm out here
Yeah.
learning AI and the new tools
Yeah.
so that I can give you guys the Khanza di Popeye, which is coming.
Yeah. I like that. You can't say Popeye.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted us to close the radio chapter and move to maybe comedy. We'll see. But I cannot not talk about Stupid 1 and Stupid 2. It wasn't necessarily your last stint on radio.
No, it wasn't.
But the Feel Good Foundation, first of all, I remember there was quite a lot of controversy when you started, because everybody was like, what are these 40-year-old men doing on a youth radio station? Like, do you not know what
We're doing
youth
radio.
means, Brando? Youth means brackets up to 35 years of age, and you guys were in your 40s. You and Robbie Rob, big shout out to you,
Yeah, but-
Robstar. Let's talk about that.
We had the keys to the fountain of youth. So what was the big deal?
Yeah.
No, look, I think as 40-year-old guys, we actually were rocking harder than the youngsters.
Yeah.
That's why the show worked.
Yeah.
Why-
Yeah.
But these ballets, they can come on radio and be
Wow, be
more,
modest, hey.
yeah, and be more teen popper than the teens.
Okay.
So we allowed ourselves to just play in a way that most people were so serious. Because you know what inspired the Feel Good Foundation?
Tell me. And why Stupid 1 and Stupid 2?
It was at a time where the city was so tense. There was so
Yeah.
much tension
Yeah.
during that period. And I don't know what was going on with the government. But Robin said, you know what, B, people need something.
They just need to laugh.
Yeah. And we went on radio and we just said, throw out the rule book, my rule book, your rule book, out the window. And you're Stupid 1, I'm Stupid 2.
Did Roman come up with those names?
Yes.
I can picture him doing
Because
that.
he's stupid. So we went with that.
Yeah.
Right. And then I started throwing in the characters. I threw in Mugabe, who I had a lot of admiration for. Some people hate him because of the atrocities in Zim, but I'm like, there was aspects of him that weren't that bad. Yes, because I fought hard for Zimbabwe. Where were they when we were fighting? Kathy, we fought. Yeah, I fought the white in Rhodesia. Now they are coming with their crocodile smiles. Yes.
Okay,
so that's that.
So you guys got fired. I want the truth. Confess.
We got suspended.
Okay.
Because we were querying the very brilliant Bonang, who I have so much respect for because she's done amazing things in SA. She was brought for the Yamas, and we thought, yeah, but you're going to spend money on her. I'm sure it's like 100 and something thousand.
Yeah.
So we had the...
And by the way, it was not a secret how much Bonang was paid, okay? It was splashed everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, the views and opinions here are mine solely to say, how does a radio station that is meant to empower
the
youngsters go and get, you know, this is something that I have such a gripe with because we do this again and again, and it's nobody but us as Botswana, which is why I kind of want to quit my Tswanazanship, right? And just curious.
Don't do that. It's the best country in the world.
E before the art, like you guys can. I don't know Tswana anymore. Okay, just speak English now. Just like I don't speak Tswana.
Yes, I speak English.
Exactly. You know, I mean, like, yeah.
I'm an English speaker.
That's what I'm saying, you know. But I want to get to talk about this because I think we really don't do well for ourselves.
Yeah.
We will work with you, Brando, when we're saying, hey, you know, we don't have the money.
Yeah.
The minute we get the money, we don't care about you.
Yeah.
We're getting so-and-so from the USA or from South Africa. And I have such a gripe with that. So I want to talk about that. And I think that's interesting. I didn't know that was the reason you got fired.
No, that was the suspension where it came from. And we decided to play Big Brother.
Yeah.
And say, look, we have to look out for the youngsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have cars to get to work. Take 3 of the girls.
Yeah, because it was 150,000 that she
and
was
then
going
they
to
can
get
run those
paid.
awards for you. So basically what the station, the guys who were behind the committee, they just gave us their middle finger and said, you Balis, just keep quiet. It's our money. How do you tell us how to spend our money? And we're like, all right, cool. And then Robin took it a step further. And then there was a fallout there. And then we got suspended. But our argument was just that. Right, why don't we just
wait? What
keep
step
empowering?
further did he take it?
No, he went gorilla on them. Baba.
What did he do?
He went Django on them. That is all I can say. And then they suspended us. And because now I'm attached to him, it means when he leaves the building,
you get dragged
guys,
in.
I can't stay because my guy is gone. So I left.
Yeah.
And then later on, fired.
I mean, I remember he took it to court.
But they fired Robin. Now it's just the guy who was
by extension.
Him. Yeah, but you know, that's why I was able to come back because I didn't bend the bridge. I had petrol, but I didn't bend the bridge.
This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast, and what an explanation. I think if you want a part 2 of this conversation, let us know. We are found on Facebook, MHF Podcast, otherwise Moving Humanity Forward podcast on LinkedIn, on YouTube, as well as on TikTok.
We live in an ever-changing world, a world where we have disruptions in technology, introductions of things such as artificial intelligence, and we can't help but ignore the need for all of us to level up. Leveling up for your own personal development, for you to thrive in your personal life, and also for organizations to continue growing and become the best versions of themselves. In the pursuit of leveling up, we often leave behind the soft skills and focus on the technical that allow us to do our daily duties. The soft skills help us connect with other individuals at a heightened level and also to be able to know how we relate with each other to produce optimum results. ProLearn comes in as a partner that centers around leadership development courses, technological courses, financial literacy courses, and also mental wellness and being.
Welcome back. This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast, and we are still touching base, Brando, on what happens in Botswana a little bit, especially The reason why Stupid 1 and Stupid 2 ended up getting off radio,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, Stupid 1 never came back, but Stupid 2 got called back because you said you didn't burn the bridge.
Yeah, no, and I never burn bridges.
Yeah.
I've learned in life that, relationships are far much more important in, the realm of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Just rather save the relationship and, get rid of other things. I value relationships a lot.
Yeah.
Because they've always got me things that either money can't get you or things that qualifications can't get you. You
Yeah.
know, like sometimes where somebody just knows that you're good for it
Yeah.
is good enough.
All right.
Right. So yeah, I didn't burn the bridge. And then I came back to do the Big Breakfast Show, and that's when I rocked with Bo Hardy on air.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And that was your last stint on radio?
That was my last stint on radio. And it was, look, you've been asking for me to talk about it. It was a bittersweet thing for me because the show was so good.
Yeah.
It was bringing in the money. There was good audience retainship. There was a culture around that. And that's when you know you've got a good show. The advertisers are coming on. The CEOs are listening. I mean, at one point, there was a CEO, I don't know if I should mention him, but he literally
We
called
want
me.
you to mention him.
No,
Tell
he
us.
literally called me. He wanted me to. He said to me, Brando, if it's a money thing, I'll pay you.
Wow.
Come, let's talk. I can get Stanbic to sponsor, and I need you back on radio because my kids
loved it.
they loved it.
But I have this question about that, and I just don't understand
Remudise.
why.
Just Remudise.
I
It
love
was
it.
like,
I love it. I love
you
it.
know.
Tell me what it is where this happens. And I know I'm getting off what we had originally, but I always wonder when, as a radio station, I mean, if you're a business person, right? To me, there's no business case behind firing your top earning, highest grossing, most listened to show.
Yeah.
But that's what you were, and you still got canned and put off air.
Yeah. And it was confusing for me too, because I felt I was doing well and I was sort of at the peak of it, and I was just about to take it a notch up.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll find that I've then, because immediately after that, I then went off radio and then wanted to, dwell in this realm that you're now on. And high five to you
Thank you.
for a wonderful
team.
podcast and the team. And then I did a podcast with BK Proctor, which was called the Express Cast.
Okay.
Right. So I had this big idea because I said to B, you've done a brilliant job with these shops, but I've got this idea
Yeah.
that we can do a podcast inside
In
the
the shop.
So we did a podcast and it was brilliant. But I think we just shot a few episodes of it. And then we said, look, it's interfering with the core business.
Okay.
So let's shelve it. And then maybe at a later stage, I think B will do a call for, presenters to come. And he because he also likes empowering young people.
Yeah.
So there's that opportunity. But I then discovered that I'm more of a radio person than I am a
Yeah,
podcaster.
being in front of a camera is
Yeah.
so different behind.
And because I do theater of the mind,
Yeah.
I like playing with the audience, because then I can be on the show and do 7 different characters and talk to myself all the time. And
Yep.
people just, all they have is just the imagination and the sound that's coming out of their radio.
Of course.
So that's where the magic is. And then you can have the kids sing along. You can have birthday shout outs. You can have all of that.
Yeah.
Right. So it was difficult for me because I was doing so well. But then I'm not the type to sort of hang on and, to it, I'm gone. I'm not
And
the
that's,
type to,
I actually
yeah.
wanted, I mean, so in terms of the business case behind making that kind of decision,
Yeah.
you never stopped to say, okay, who made this decision? How could they do this to me? Why didn't they
Look,
warn me in
I
advance?
asked Kathy, I said, what's the big idea? I thought we were going to move forward. And I was brought into meetings about the new direction.
Yeah.
And then only to discover that, well, in actual fact, guys want to go a different direction with
Yeah.
the show. So that's the explanation I got. And I can't also be mad at them because they've given me so much.
Yeah.
Right. So as a completely optimistic and wholesome guy that I choose to be, I will always be true to that.
Yeah.
To sort of say, I'm not going to look at the fact that right now in this, small period, you are deciding to put me on the outside.
Yeah.
You've carried me since I was like 20 something, right? So we're cool.
Okay.
Right, we're cool.
I like that.
And kudos to them. They then just given me the Icon Award at their 9th Yama celebration. So thank you to Yama
Kudos to
FM.
you. Kudos to you.
Oh, okay. Well, kudos.
I do want us to talk about a couple of the other hats that you wear and have worn. One of them being, I once again want to shout out the person who.
Hey, I need the number of your
Yes.
your
Her name
tailor.
is Funky Resi, and she does men's clothing as well. I think she makes amazing clothing. And in fact, our current Miss Botswana 2024-2025 has a lot of outfits that, Funky Resi did for her.
Yeah.
So, GM of Miss Botswana.
Yes.
How did that come about?
I was fortunate enough because I've always been a fan of the Miss Botswana pageant.
Yeah.
And Ben Raletsatsi is a person that I also sort of look up to as a bigger brother.
Okay.
The guys that I've always grown up with, and but working so hard.
Yeah.
And never really giving up. And I love people like that.
Yeah.
And Ben really throws himself in there to the point where he will go and run some marathon somewhere in the world just so that he can come back and do this.
Yeah.
So he really pushes himself, to the ultimate. So Ben needed, from Palesa Molefe's reign, he needed somebody to sort of take, the pageant to the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, B, I know you, and I know I can trust you with this thing. And then we did that. And that's how we put the team together that then gave the country Honorable Lesego Chombo, Your Excellency, your beautifulness. We see you. So she then was a product of our reign, and I'm super proud of that. And I say to people that I'm so glad that I was there at that time, right? And Ben had, and I suppose he still has this big idea that we can host Miss World. So that was part of me being part of his dream, to sort of say, big bro, you've always been there for me. Let me do this. And at the time I was unemployed. I needed the job. And he gave me a job within that
What are some
period.
of the highlights of the time that you were there? What are some of the things you put in place that you think the current team is benefiting from?
It was really cool because we came in where there was the bit of a debacle about the previous team and what happened, where we all felt like, Palesa Molefe should have done far much better than she did, because she's absolutely brilliant.
She is.
And I just want to say, Bommeba Botswana, Basedi ba Lehatsile, Jovicho. We just have the best women in the world.
Yeah, and you even have a song about it, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And we literally, I think, it breaks my heart so much, because sometimes when, all these atrocities happen where people sort of turn and when a woman dies, and just how amazing the women are in this country, it'll literally break your heart. So that's why I think, for me, there's that aspect of me that looks at women from that perspective, and I'm just like, they are to be worshipped and they are to be valued far much more than I think we give them praise, right? So if I can be part of a process where there's an opportunity to empower women or put her on a platform where she can shine and we can benefit from her raise, like we do now, buying in the limelight, Kobo Miss World, I go to bed with a smile. I see the current Miss Botswana now. I see Lesego Chombo where she's at. I see Palesa when she's doing, and even the previous Miss Botswana pageants. And I think we also need to, since I'm on your platform, I think we need to honor some of the ones behind.
That have gone behind,
because a lot of
the
them
Emma
did it.
Warriors, the Sumaya
A lot of them did it
Mabube.
at a period where there was no money.
Yeah.
So I think once we've got our footing, we need to acknowledge them. There should just be a hall of fame where you can go to a museum and see a huge picture of all of them.
Yeah,
We
I
need to
like
just
that.
dedicate that. But I'm proud because we then managed to be the team that got Miss Botswana to a point where it's actually a very attractive brand. That was my vision.
Reputable,
Yes.
trustworthy,
That was my
honorable.
vision. You must just get in there and just start teaching people, Reza, this thing is bigger than the little small issues that you're always talking about. This is us. It's a country business card. So treat it as such, right? Which is the same thing that needs to go towards the athletes. That right now we are on our toes, Boma Silela, the guys are rocking as we speak.
Yeah.
These kids are doing things that I grew up thinking they would never happen. Watching the Carl Lewises of the world, they're putting this country in a position that I don't think we fathom
Yeah.
the value that you get. I mean, I cried man tears when Letsile won the gold medal because it wasn't a dream for her, it was
Yeah.
my dream. Do you get that?
Yeah. I hear you.
I've always wanted a gold medal so bad at the Olympics. Y'all don't even know the half of it. I was like, man, I cried. I literally locked my eyes like nobody must walk into the house and find me crying like this because I will never recover from the jokes.
Yeah.
That boy brought me to my knees. And I literally wrote a song. Funny enough, can I babble?
Please.
I wrote a song for Litsile before he went to the Olympics. But you were asking me earlier, where's
your music? Why are you not
The
bringing
music sits Modi Studio in Savannah, Botswana.
Why?
We do a lot of recording and then they just sit.
Why?
So I had a fallout with my producer who I recorded this song with.
The
and-
one Yagalitsile.
Yagalitsile, and he sat with it. I recorded the song and I said to him, I feel like this boy is going to win. He's going to win a gold medal.
So then imagine if you had released the
Thank you.
song.
That, you see that's what Brando does.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That if you ever want to know my superpower,
Yeah.
that is me. That is me. I will meet up with someone and I'll be like,
You're gonna win.
She's gonna
Yeah, I
I'll be like that's what I do.
can
I will
pick a winner.
I will see her and so I'll be like, ooh, she's it's almost like I've got like this sixth sense thing. Right on. But I think we all have it to a certain degree. We sometimes just choose to ignore it. We ignore this thing where we see potential in somebody and you're like, ooh, this person is going to do some big things in life. Right? And if you choose to just put your push behind it.
Yeah, just back them a little bit.
Because people don't even know, like Mposibina walked into my studio. I had a studio,
Yes.
She walked into my studio. I said to my recorders, to my producers, this girl doesn't leave here without an album.
Wow.
Look at where Mposibina is. She was there the other day with Beyonce at the Grammys.
Yeah.
And that's me sitting at home
Wow.
crying because I'm like,
You know the role you played.
man.
Yeah.
It's not a big role. It's just like, just
Small,
record.
small.
I'll pay the bills and deal with the landlord, but record.
Yeah.
And then when the album was done, I said to their producers, take the equipment, go master it,
Wow.
go. They were shocked. I said, no, go. Because I want to see your move because somebody did that for me.
Yeah.
There was a Schizo, there was a Solo B, there was a whoever who did that for me. So
Yeah.
why would I not do it for the next generation?
Yeah.
So we've got that thing that we must all do. And you all know yourselves.
Yeah.
The coaches, the music teachers, the uncle who drops you off at the rehearsals, I think we have so much to be thankful for. But we are who we are because people make us who we are.
Yep.
So as long as you understand that concept, because you obloile, I get it. And you think I'm doing so well, you forget.
Yeah.
No, man. Somebody gave you their couch. You would not have made it because you came to the city.
Exactly.
You were in somebody's house. Somebody did something for you along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I need to shout out Solo B, Robbie Rob.
Yeah.
Robbie Rob put me on radio.
Yeah.
He saw something I didn't see.
So working for Miss Botswana for me, it's just my little contribution to country.
I love that.
And I'm happy when I see it pan out.
But wait, something I want to talk about that has to do with country is the issue of alcohol.
Yes.
And we spoke about this, and
As I drink water.
one of the things you talked about is that there's a lot of fake alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And just, I think in line with selling your soul, doing the right thing, being who you are, following your path. There's this, I don't know, something that happens when you're selling stuff that you know is not necessarily 100% good for other people versus when you're Kathy and you're like, let's go dig in our gardens. Let's get some DIY things happening. I believe in this. I do it. It is life.
It's wholesome.
Yeah.
This feeds your soul. I think growing up has now sort of put me in a light where I view things like that with a very different eye. I think we're a country that has now sort of glamorized alcohol too much, to the point where we're not even giving the young generation to be young anymore. We never grew up with so much pressure to drink.
Yeah.
We had time, right? And it must get to a point where we need to teach the young generation that you can actually have a good time without necessarily
Without drinking alcohol. We were talking
because we were taught.
about a show
Yes.
that tanked
Yeah.
because they were trying to say this is an alcohol-free show. And I
show.
remember that was the first time it came to my mind to say, oh, you mean we can't have fun in Botswana without alcohol?
So there's so much of it that has contaminated our life to the point where we are oblivious to how it's affecting us negatively because we are doing it so openly, so frequently, and it is become so prominent in our social, circles.
But let's talk about
our homes,
Honorable Kinwelegape, and then I want us to close off with a little bit of what you're doing because time just does this to me.
Minister wa lona ba gaetsho Batswana ba tshwenngwa ke kgodisa Batswana re batla a forensic investigation right so mo gore why Batswana ba na le ba sengwe ke dikgodisa also ntlela o bua le tautu no e go tshwela.
Are you going to do some stand-up comedy and bring Honorable with you?
I've tried to dabble in stand-up. I'm still learning.
Okay. What are you working on? What's
I'm
what
working
can we
on a
expect?
show. It's called Dikganza di Popeye. So basically, I'm playing there's a lot of characters. Right now, I think we're up to 63 characters that I'm playing.
All of them?
All of, yeah. So yeah, this is me sort of saying, okay, B, people have always sort of thought you're cool and you're dope and you can do things. Maybe just show them.
Wow.
Because I feel like I've always just done a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I'm going to take it full on and do a full scope.
Is this an animated
It's
project?
animated. It's an animated project. It's me playing the news anchor, interviewing
Different
everybody. So in
people.
essence, it'll be me sitting with me, talking to me,
Yeah.
and interviewing me
Yeah.
about what I did with somebody else.
I like it.
Tseke dikganza di Popeye le di tlisediwa ke nna Happiness ke tletse boitumelo dikganza rona di apelwa ka poto ya size 1 mme di tsentswe letswainyana bona le monna o reng a ke tle go re kola show a ba sala a tsuna mosadi wa me tsatsi leo ke batla go bolelela gore raetso ke recordile show ebile ke ka tlase ga bolao ka molao e re dikgang ke eme jalo ke re that's my boy. So it's essentially that.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool.
So when can we expect it?
Hey, timelines. No, we're heavy in production now.
Okay.
We're heavy in production. It was actually supposed to be out.
Is it going to be on social media? How are you going to monetize
No,
that?
it's coming to TV because that's why we've stopped it. I think I've done enough free stuff.
Yeah.
It's now time to, take stuff and package it and actually release a season, 13 episodes, and then the next 13, 26 episodes. So we're almost done with the first season.
Okay.
Yeah, so Honorable Piggy Sorobe, Minister of Pork Affairs.
Okay.
There
What are pork
is-
affairs?
Yeah, Pork Affairs. So I mean, you have to watch the show if you want to see it. And Honorable Kinwelegape in the show has got a permanent secretary to the Ministry of Alcohol and Dinoli.
But you haven't mentioned Muruti Marimapi. That's one of my favorite characters. I mean, the song,
I know.
what was the thinking? Okay, tell me a little bit about Muruti
Muruti
Marimapi.
Marimabi was also the same thing. I mean, I think Muruti Marimabi was also another coping mechanism, a character that basically just speaks to the social ills.
Yeah.
And I did a song called Divorce Party because my divorce was very hard on me. So I did a song where I said, Batanka wa modimo ke a lo amogela mo kerekeng ya ga Muruti Marimabi. Kereke ya rona mo letsatsing la gompieno re tla be re na le divorce party ke re lotlhe ba le re tseketsa dijeso ba lo ipotle ba le loileng ke a lo amogela le lona ba le sabolong go hutsa gore lenyalo le le phatale ke re seswa sa lola ke seo re se tsentse chilies. It's that kind of stuff. Just to basically say there are people who would convince the other party or no motogele lona ba le nang le morale re motogela ga se monna wa sepe ke a lo laletsa mo divorce partying ya rona. It's basically that.
Yeah.
Because you can lose your mind if you do not find a coping mechanism. You can lose your mind, and guys like me don't do drugs.
Yeah.
So we'll do comedy,
I like it.
I'll do music,
Yeah.
I will sing, I will dance, I will do everything else other than abuse everything else than be violent,
Yeah.
but I will find another outlet.
Yeah.
That's me.
I like that, and I wish you could speak to people to say this is an actual thing.
You need to do that because otherwise you just lose yourself, and you're saying wake up with zero.
Yeah.
So Lipina ya Koko, which has become one of my most popular songs, was a song that I wrote Kilimo Studio le BK Proctor, because Proctor used to work, on the music after Mike Proctor stopped Ghetto Flavor. He then gave the equipment to BK.
I know this, okay? I worked in a studio.
Yeah.
I remember when he started producing.
So harakwala pina ya Koko at the time. No one pina ya Joe Thomas, which he's one of my favorite R&B artists.
Yeah.
It's called Knock Knock Knock. You know that song?
Knock, knock,
yeah.
knock.
So I was trying to write a Setswana song.
Yeah, but
with
yours
the
was
same
talking about death.
How we got there.
Eh,
Nigga kwala pina, and then
don't tell me there was a knock on the door.
There was a knock on the door. There was a knock on the door, and V Mambizi walks in. V comes in with some long story about whatever else is going on in V's life, right? To come and see BK. So he stops the session in the middle, and we are trying to find a direction to go Gabi. Javier na wazama. Kerabi ki magazenya bin. Argo kar kima tata abusilo. So I'm like, BK's like, oh, well, hold on, let me go like. So that's how the song happened.
Wait, but you were, and I actually thought that's because something like that had
I think
happened.
it had a lot to do with what V was going on about, because he was going on about something, some drama.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, let me not make it a love song.
Yeah.
Let's talk about,
life.
Yeah.
Because that happens to a lot of people.
Argo kar, kema suprimi, levatama.
Yeah.
So then it just became like, okay, let's go with it. So and then
Did you expect it to blow up the way that it did?
Just no. And it's the thing about music. It's like children.
Yeah.
You don't get to choose who shines and the one who's going to end up.
Okay,
being
quickly, we're gonna run out
the
of
problem
time.
child,
The music. Are you getting paid royalties?
Yes.
You get paid by Cosmos? You
get
registered
paid.
your music?
I've registered my music.
Yeah.
I am making new music. I've just recorded a new song with Thomas Chilume. I'm in the studio with him.
I love
I
him.
met Fella, a young producer
Yep,
at
big
the
deal
Yama
right now.
Awards. So me and Fella,
I like
we're
that.
getting in the studio.
Give us timelines, because clearly you've told us you
No, there's a
produce
lot, man. We're
music and then it
working.
doesn't arrive.
No, but
Can
it's
it
coming.
arrive?
It's coming.
Yeah?
It's coming. But I think the biggest mistake that I also do is I hold on to producers too long.
Okay.
I think I need to change that thing, because
And
I
have
still have a lot of
diversity.
music that I need to put out.
Yeah. So wait, the music that you've done that didn't get put out, that's it? We're never gonna see it?
Look, I am in the middle of making a decision whether I re-record the music again, because the song I wrote for Litsile is such a beautiful song.
Yeah.
I mean, it just moves me, and I wish it could have come out at
the
that
time.
But it still doesn't matter, because it can still come out, because
Yeah,
he's still
he's
doing
still
amazing,
relevant. He's still gonna do
doing
big
amazing
things. Yeah.
And now I have an opportunity to just also make it his song and everyone else's song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
so the music will come out.
Oh.
We'll put it out.
You're not saying when.
We'll put it out.
We are not
I'll do
saying
a song. I'll do a song for winter. Let
We
me
said
Let me drop
June.
one for winter,
We
because I've
said-
got one with Bamboo,
Oh.
which we can drop now.
I like.
Yeah.
Okay. Timelines before end of June, July.
Okay, because Kathy wants this song so bad.
Yes.
I'm gonna drop this song this week.
Yes.
How is that?
I
Cool.
love it.
Deal.
I like it when people do that. He is an MC, he's a comedian, he is a radio presenter. I don't know if that's something you'd ever want to do again. He just has so many talents and so many hats. How do we find you? Where can we find you? Because I do believe you're available for bookings. You want to be serenaded as you walk down the aisle or at your event, or you want him to hold your ceremony for you.
Divorce
Where
party,
can
we
you
do those two.
where can we find kids parties as well? Where can we find you, Brando? How do people get hold of you?
Look, I mean, I think people can just drop me an email, brandosbookings@gmail.com. I'm a fossil, so now we still believe in emails. It's Brandos with an N, brandosbookings@gmail.com. And just go to my social media pages. That's
What are they?
also
Brando?
Brando Kabile on TikTok and Facebook. I'm there.
Okay.
I'm an easy guy to get a hold of. I try to not be so difficult.
Yeah.
But I am also mindful that we need to, make way for the next generation. So I'm also up to grooming the next hot MC, the next hot, artist.
I love it.
Because that's really, and especially for you and I, Kathy, we're people who have a lot to offer. There are a lot of people right now from our era who are disgruntled. Put yourself in a position where now you are, nurturing the next generation, because that's your role.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you're done. Just no, put on a different hat and start teaching the youngsters what time it is. Because you think you're done, but you're not done. There's so much work to be done in this country. Too much work. So much work. And obviously because the new government has promised us more money, we will accept it. That's my boy.
And that's how we close off this conversation of moving humanity forward. My name is Kathy Malajani. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.